Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to ServiceNow 911. I hope you have gone through my last video, which is loading data into ServiceNow. In today's video, we are discussing an important topic, which is CMDB, Configuration Management Database. So the very first question is, what is CMDB? So basically, a CMDB, that is Configuration Management Database, is a centralized database that store information about all the components that make up your IT environment, okay, and how they are connected. So storing the information about each and every component of your IT environment and the relationship between them. This is the powerful thing which a CMDB can deliver. So let me show you in the instance. This is my instance. This is the application where each and every detail of CMDB is mentioned. You can see basically all these are tables. So you see here what all things we are storing. We are storing applications, instances, application server, server cluster, database server, database instances, network, load balancer, data center, virtual machine, VMware, infrastructure services, Hyper-V, KVM, based items, storage, and the relationship. So it is basically each and every component that is responsible or that is directly or indirectly managing the IT services and are being used in IT operations. So let me open this table. So the name of the table is CMDB_CI, that is configuration item table. So in this table, you see all these are the infrastructure component of your IT environment. So right now this is demo instance, that's why you see less number of records here. But in actual instance, this may go up to lakhs, okay? And in CMDB, each and every IT component is known as CI. In ITL, the definition of CI is basically it is any component that needs to be managed in order to deliver an IT service. Okay. So all these are CIs. And here you see the class. So basically each CI has a class. And you see these all are the attributes of a particular CI. So each CI is a kind of infrastructure component and it has its own attributes. Okay. So how we are storing the CIs? We are storing CI based on the classes. So for one class, we have a one type of CI. Okay. So here you see these all are the classes. Let me group by these classes. So right now there are 46 classes which are available. Okay. So you can find almost all the infrastructure component here. You see database, data center, Oracle catalog, disk, email server, hardware, router, switch, everything you will see here. Okay. So each class represents a particular type of component, IT component. And in that we have records. Like in this Linux server, you see these are the 5 Linux servers which are available in this organization. Let's suppose this CMDB belongs to ABC company. And in that company, we have 5 Linux servers. So the second most important part of CMDB is it is a dynamic database which is getting updated on regular basis because the CIs are changing constantly. Because the life cycle of CI is changing on every minute, right? It may be possible that a server which was installed yesterday, after 1 month, it got retired, or after 1 month, it got rebooted. So we want the exact picture of your infrastructure into CMDB. If it is happening, then you can say this is a good CMDB and it is going to help you a lot. But in case the CMDB is not up to date, it is of no use. So right now you see this is the base table. You know what is the base table? In ITSM, we have task table as base table, but for in CMDB, in configuration management database, the base table is configuration item table. And all these classes, these classes are the child table of this base table. So it means these classes are inheriting certain fields, certain attributes, certain validations, certain rules from this configuration management database. Okay, so keep this in mind. So now let me open one of the CI. Let's open this application. Okay, CMS app FLX. So look at this. This form contains most of the information about this particular application. This is the name. This is the operational status. It means it is operational. Because this is demo instance, that's why other values are not here, but it should also be there. At the bottom of this particular application, you see the related items. All these are the CIs, other CIs who are dependent on this particular application, or it may be possible that this particular application is dependent on these CIs. Okay. In the first line of this dependency, you see depends on used by computers. Okay. So this means that these workstation FLX computers are using CMS app FLX application. These are the end user computers where the application is installed or used. It means these computers are the child or depends on this particular application. If we move to the next line, which is depends on used by Oracle catalogs. So here you see this application depends on these Oracle catalog components. If Oracle FLX catalog has some issue, part of CMS applications will also be affected. Okay. Then we have third thing, which is Java servers. So in this, our application CMS FLX runs on or depends on these Java application servers. If Java application servers goes down, so does our application as well. Finally, at last, you see MySQL catalogs, this one. Our application is dependent on this MySQL FLS database. Okay. So in one line, if I want to explain this relationships, so we can say that this application is used by workstation FLX computers, and to run and process this application relies on Java application server, Oracle catalogs, and MySQL database. So you can see the power of this CMDB here. If anything happened to this particular application, you can see these all things are getting affected. Or if anything happened to this Oracle server, obviously this application is getting affected. So you can see the complete impact analysis here. So now you will ask me where all these things are being used. So we can use this in ITSM, we can use this in IT operations as well as change management. So there are a number of applications where the CMDB can be pretty much used, and it is a valuable thing there. Suppose you are making changes in these Java servers. Okay. So in this case, you can easily see from CMDB that this application is dependent on this Java server. So before making the changes, you must alert the team of this particular application or the users of this application that this application might not start for a 30-minute period till you upgrade these servers. In the same way, if you are making change in MySQL catalog or Oracle catalogs, you can easily communicate these things with the application owner so that they can take care of the team, so that they can take care of the application while these components are not working. So that's why you can see the impact analysis directly from here in this particular CMDB and in this relationship. That's why it is very, very important. You can also see this relationship in this diagram. Click here, dependency view. So it's a new way to represent this information in graphical manner. You can see this is our application, and this computer is depends on this application, and this application it depends on this Java server. And finally, this Java server is dependent on this catalog and MySQL. So each and every information is explained here in a very, very simple way so that people will understand it without any technical knowledge as well. In the same way, you see all these attributes are there for each and every CI. Based on the CI type, you may see different changes in the attributes because each class or each CI has its own set of attributes along with the common attributes which are there or being derived from this CMDB configuration item table. So this is all about the CIs and the relationship between CIs. Now I will show you the class hierarchy. So that hierarchy is available in CMDB CI class manager. So write down here CI class manager. You see under configuration, we have CI class manager. Click on it. So this is CI class manager. You can see welcome to CI class manager. Use CI class manager to create classes. Okay. To update identification and reconciliation rules, to display CI relationship, and to configure CMDB help. So these all things we are going to discuss in this CI class manager. Okay, so now let us click on hierarchy here. So in this hierarchy, look at here. This is the CI table, that is configuration item table, our base table, and it is total having 2864 records. So basically these are not records, but these are the classes which are inheriting this CMDB table. So this is the huge number of child classes which are inheriting this configuration item table. You can see all the classes here, okay? That's why this is a base table here. So now if I want to search certain class, I have to write the class name here. Let's say I want to see about server. Okay, so this is the server. So now you see here, along with hierarchy, everything is coming. The server is child of computer, computer is child of hardware, and hardware is child of configuration item. So now you can see how many levels of parent-child relationship is going on here. Further, server is having these all, kind of childs. Okay, so now if I click on server, now I can see this hierarchy here as well as certain basic information about this class. The basic information is having display name of the table. Okay, then this is the table name of this particular class. So all the tables which are inheriting configuration item table are starting with CMDB_CI and then the name of that server. So total name is CMDB_CA_server. Okay, this is the description. You know what is extensible. Certain table fields are already here. Okay, now you can add manage by, default product name, all these things you can add here. Because this is a demo data, that's why you see less attributes, less values. Otherwise, in the actual environment, all these fields must be clear. So this is the basic information. Then we click on attributes. Now you will see all the columns which this particular table is having. These are the derived one. It means these are inherited from these parents, and these are the one which are added only for this table. Why only for this table? Because each and every infrastructure component has its own fields, right? Certain fields which are unique to them. So that's why we have added here only for this table. Otherwise, you can see these are the common one which are shared by all the childs and inherited from these parents, either from computer, hardware, or configuration item. Okay, so these are the attributes. If you want, you can create a new attribute here. After attributes, we go to identification rules. Okay, so now let me tell you in a very simple language that the job of identification rule is very simple. When new data comes in from any source, whether it's discovery or an import, ServiceNow need to decide one thing. Is this an existing CI that I can update, or this is a brand new CI which I should create? Okay, that I should create. So the same is happening here. So now here in this identification rule, we are providing certain attributes. Okay, we are deciding certain attributes on which behalf the system can take that call. Okay, so these are kind of unique attributes that the system can consider and decide whether to create a new CI or not. If you remember, when we were importing data into ServiceNow, we were looking at call-sec field, right? So the same concept applies here. One more thing you notice, at the top, we see hardware rule, but this is for server table, right? We have open configuration for our server table. So why this is happening? It is because server is a child of hardware family. So it reuses this shared rule for all the hardware type CIs, including server. Okay. Here the inheritance is coming into picture. So this server table is using IRE rules, identification rule from the hardware table. Now you see these are the identifier entries and there are certain boxes with priority here. Okay. So now you can think of these identifier cards as one matching strategy, and the priority tells ServiceNow in which order to try them. So at the very first, we have this standard one, and here the priority is 90, and this is the criteria here. So as soon as a new data comes, ServiceNow will come here and check whether there is any identifier entry or not. And yes, it sees the very first one. Okay. And in this, the first standard identifier with priority 90 says, search in the hardware table using the field product instance identifier. If the field matches an existing CI, we treat it as the same CI and update it. Okay. And if it does not match anything, then we move to this particular here. Okay. So like this, we cover each and every identifier, and at the last, if there is no match, the record will be created in the server table. So ladies and gentlemen, these identification rules are very important because these rules prevent duplicate CIs by defining which fields uniquely identify a particular server or whatever table you are using. Okay. So in this, we generally use product ID, serial number, name, or MAC address. So that's what is happening in this identifier entry. Okay. If you want, you can replace this as well. Right now, we are inheriting from hardware, but we can click on replace and add a new one. So you see, this is the name, and you can provide that test identification rule. Click on save. So now you see our new identification rule is created for server table only. It applies to server, okay? All other which were there, which were inherited are now not in use. This is our new one. So now you see we have no identifier entry. You can add the identifier entry here. You can see use from the main table or any other table. So we are using it from the main table, that is server table here. So now click on here, go to main setting, let's say serial number. Add the serial number, click on save. So now we have added an identification rule for this particular table, our server table independently. And now it is having only one identifier here. As soon as a new record comes, it will first check this identifier rule, okay? And then we are going to find the serial number of the new record in the table. And if in the table serial number is already there, then it means we have to update that CI. Otherwise, we need to create a new CI there in the server table, okay? A new server record basically. So this is how we create the identification rule. I hope this is pretty much clear to you. Let me delete it. As soon as I delete it, you see the old one will inherit it here automatically. Next, we have the reconciliation rule. These reconciliation rules are there to determine which discovery source are allowed to populate attributes and in which order. So basically, you know, the data is coming from various sources into CMDB. It may come from imports, it may come from legacy, database, it may come from discovery. So there are n number of sources. But for certain attributes or for certain fields, we want to prioritize the data source update. Like I want the serial number to be updated only by discovery, ServiceNow discovery. So in case when the data moves into server table from 3 different sources, let's say ServiceNow discovery and import or from event. So in that case, the priority will be given to ServiceNow discovery and other sources are not allowed to update that field. So the same we can decide here in this reconciliation rule. So at present, I have provided reconciliation rule on serial number. If I click on this, you see, I have provided order to ServiceNow discovery as top, that is 1. Whereas for event management, it is 2, that is 200. And the attribute which I have selected here is serial number. So what is happening here? The serial number of server table is allowed to override by only ServiceNow discovery. Let's say I have manually updated the serial number of a particular server. So now the last updated is by me, okay? So in that case, if event management is trying to update this discovery, it is allowed because last updated was not by me, okay? If the last updated was by discovery, then the event management is not allowed to update. I hope you get my point. So this is how we create the reconciliation rules. After that, we have suggested relationships for this table. So you can see the complete map. Okay. You can create a new relationship for a particular table here. As simple as that. Then we have all relationship rules. So these all are the relationships which are there for this particular server. After that, we have health dashboard. And you can call it as CMDB health. Okay. So CMDB health is all about the data quality. ServiceNow measure the health from 3 different angles. That is completeness, compliance, and correctness. So you can see all these 3 here. Okay. So let me explain it one by one. What is completeness? It means for each CI of this table, it will check whether the important fields or recommended fields are filled in or not. So how to select those recommended fields? You can click here and you can select the recommended fields. Let's say these are the recommended fields. So now the system will check these fields, whether the data is there in these fields or not. Based on that, it will calculate the correctness score. Okay. So CMDB health score is the ultimate score which we are going to see, that will tell us whether the health of CMDB is good or not. Okay. And it will be an accumulated value based on the values from all these 3 checks: completeness, compliance, and correctness. So for each table, you can see the respective scores. So these are the recommended fields. It will be checked and then finally the score will be given. So in case if any of these recommended or mandatory fields or attributes are blank, okay, the completeness score will go down. Okay. Then we have the compliance score. So the compliance is going to ask, does the data follow our standards and policy? Obviously, in every organization, we have certain data standards. If those data standards, nomenclature, naming conventions, okay, all these are filled in properly or not. So you can decide all these compliance rules here, okay, one by one. And then based on that, the compliance score will be calculated for each table. And then finally, accumulated score will be given in CMDB health dashboard. Then finally, we have the correctness. So the correctness will ask, is the data in this table is actually correct and consistent or not? Okay. So this is where we look for duplicate CIs, we look for stale CIs, and we look for orphan CIs. Okay. So all these type of CIs are being treated here in this correctness. So you see here under correctness, we already have orphan rule, we have stainless rule. Okay. Values are there for these. So for stainless, we have effective days of 60 days. Okay. So what is a stale CI? Those CIs which are not updated in the system for a long time. So these are stale CIs. What are orphan CIs? The CIs which are there in CMDB, but they have no relationship with any of the other CI. CI relationships are very much important. If a CI is there in the CMDB and which is alone, it is of not much use. So that's why we have to take care of these orphan CIs, these stale CIs, to keep the CMDB clean and up to date. So these are the 3 health parameters which we have to consider for each table, for each CI, or for each class. Okay. And then finally, you can see CI list. So all the CIs from this particular table. Okay. So now let me show you the health dashboard. So just write down here health dashboard. CMDB health dashboard. Click on this class view. So here you see this is the complete health dashboard. Right now it is not active because this is a demo and we have to activate certain jobs to keep the values here, to show the values here. So, but you can see the completeness, correctness, and compliance for the whole database or for the whole configuration item table here. Okay. And you can easily see the missing attributes and everything with respect to each KPI. So this is correctness. For correctness, we have duplicate, orphan, and stale. For completeness, you remember we have the required attribute or recommended attributes. And for compliance, there is audit. Okay. So all these things are available once the jobs for this particular health dashboard is active. So if you want to understand more about this health dashboard, I have provided a complete course free of cost here. So you can just write down CMDB health dashboard ServiceNow. Then one of my video pop up here. You see, this is my complete health dashboard video. Okay. So you can come here and find out. It is also in English, so you can find in English as well in the ServiceNow 911 channel. This is in Hindi, but the same is available for English as well. So ladies and gentlemen, this is all about CMDB. In our next video, I will try to create one class, and based on that class, we will create one IRE rule, okay, identification rule, and one reconciliation rule, and show it to you live. And after that, we are going to discuss CSDM as well. Till then, thank you so much. Bye-bye.